Hey guys, and welcome to another video of Easy Food series. In the previous video we built the home fragment, and in today's video we will use retrofit and glide to get a random meal from our API. So the API we're going to use called the meal DB, and I will leave the link of this API in the description, or you can search about it. Now when you enter this website, go to API page, and as you can see these are the APIs that we are going to get the data from. In today's video we're only gonna use this one to get a random meal, and when we get a random meal we're gonna put it in our image view. So if we take this link and open it, now as you can see it's a JSON file and it has all the data about that random meal. Now if we refresh this page, as you can see, because it's a random meal, every time we refresh this page or this link, the data in here will get changed. Well, we need a way to get this JSON file and convert it to a Kotlin object, and the way to do that is by using retrofit. So retrofit is a library that makes HTTP connections. Also it converts your JSON file to Kotlin or Java objects. So in this JSON file, as you can see, first of all we have meals, and when you have these brackets in JSON, that means it's a list. So the meals here is going to be a list, and this list is going to contain the ID of the meal and the name of the meal, also other stuff like this one, and here the category for example, and this one the area of this meal, and a lot of other information about this meal. But we are not gonna convert this JSON file to Kotlin object manually because retrofit will convert it to us. So now go back to Android Studio and go to your Gradle file, the second one, and we need to add the dependencies that we are going to use. First of all, add these two dependencies. The first one is for retrofit and the second one for the JSON converter. It's the library that's responsible to convert our JSON to Kotlin or Java objects. So now I'm gonna write a comment that this is the retrofit. And now one more library is glide. Glide will catch images from the internet and put it in our image view. In our API we have an image for every meal. So this is the image. So if we take it and see it, as you can see, this is the image of the meal. So Glide will take this image from this link and put it in this image view. In our Android Studio. So that's what Glide does. It's a very good library for this thing. Now after we added all dependencies, click on sync now. Okay, so now we need to start with retrofit. But before that, make sure that you enable the internet permission in your manifest file, and we did that in the first video of this series. Also enable this property, because if you don't enable them you will get error. So now how to work with retrofit. Retrofit needs three things. First, it needs a class that has all the variables to create objects from that class. Also it needs an interface for the API, and lastly it needs an instance. So we need three things to work with retrofit. First of all, go to your Java package, click on it. Now let's create packages to arrange our project. This is not necessary, but it's very useful to arrange your project. So now we need to create a package for the fragments and take all the fragments and put them in that package. Okay, here we have an error, which is the resource is not imported, so let's import it. Okay, close it. And also here, I don't know why that happened actually, but I'm gonna import them. Okay, now create another package for the activities. And take the main activity, then put it in this package. Now create another package, and this one called Pojo is going to have the data classes. Now create it, and one more package for retrofit. Again guys, we created these packages to arrange our project. So now when we move between fragments and activities, it's so simple, we know where to go. That's why I created these packages. Now we need to create the class of the meal. So if we go to our API, and as you can see, we said that in our class we're going to have a list of meals, and that list of meals is gonna have this ID meal and the str meal and also str drink, alternate, and also the category and so on. But luckily we don't need to create all of this manually. We can take this, copy like that, and go back to Android Studio, and now go to File, go to Settings, now go to Plugins, and make sure that you have this plugin installed. JSON to Kotlin. If this plugin is not installed in your Android Studio, install it. After that, click on OK. Now right click on the Pojo package and go to New. Now you're supposed to see this option, Kotlin data class file from JSON. Click on it. Now paste what we copied from the browser in here and choose the name of your class. I'm going to name it meal list. And then click on generate. Now it will automatically generate two classes. The first one, as we said, is going to have the meals list, and that list is going to have a meal, and the meal class has all the other information. So that's how you work with JSON. But don't worry about this if you got confused, because it will generate automatically by this plugin. Now we done the first part of Retrofit. Now the second part is the interface. So now go to your Retrofit package, right click on it and go to New. Now Kotlin class file. Now as we said, we're gonna use the interface. Why interface? Because Retrofit is going to write all the codes for us. We just need to give some information to Retrofit, and Retrofit will take care of the code. So we're gonna name this interface meal API. After that, click on enter. Now in here we're gonna have one function, and this function will get the random meal. So here we're gonna create a function, get random meal, and it's not gonna take any parameters. Now this function will return something called call, and make sure it's from Retrofit. Now the generic of this call will take a meal list, because as we said, our JSON starts with the meals, and meals here is a list. The meals in here, we represent it in a meal list class. And now I want to tell Retrofit that this is get, means I want to get data from the API. And open these brackets. Now go to your API and copy this. Well, you need to know that every URL has two parts. The first part is the base URL, and the second part is what we need. So we're gonna take this part. How do you know the base URL? It's very simple. The base URL is the common part from all the links. So if we go to here and look at our URLs, as you can see, they all have this part in common. They all have this part. The part that changes is after this backslash. So you know that this is the base URL. I think it's very simple. Now go back here and paste this in here. So that's all we need to do in our interface. Retrofit will generate all the codes required for this method. Now one last thing for Retrofit is the instance. We need to create instance from Retrofit so we can use it. Now go to Retrofit, right click on it, go to new, and now we're gonna create object. And the name of this object is Retrofit instance. Now click on enter. What we need to do in this Retrofit instance is build our API, build this API that we created. So to do that, we are going to initialize an instance from this API like that, value API, meal API, and I'm gonna initialize it by lazy. Now by lazy means it will initialize this value when we create an instance from this. Or actually you can use a latenate variable like that. And now you write what you need in this init. but a better way and fast way using bylazy. So let me delete this. Now this API is going to equal what is inside this curly brackets. So we're gonna build this API. So to build this API, you write retrofit.builder. Now let me import this. The first thing is the base URL. This is the base URL, and the base URL must end with this backslash. If it doesn't end with this backslash, retrofit will give you an error, so be careful. Now we need to add the converter that's gonna take this JSON file and convert it to a Kotlin object. So here JSON converter dot create, and then we need to build this like that, dot build, and lastly create. And now you give it the interface as a parameter. So here you write mail API and class.java like that. That's all we need to do in this retrofit instance. Now go to fragment and go to home fragment. We're gonna use retrofit in the home fragment. We're gonna show the meal, the random meal in here. We're gonna show its picture in this image view. Now go back to home fragment, and we don't need this. We don't need this stuff. So I'm gonna delete him like that. And by the way, I'm not gonna use view model in this video. Today I'm going to write my code in the home fragment, and in the next video I will take what I wrote to the view model. I just want you to understand what I'm doing, so that's why I'm going step by step. So now I want to use retrofit instance to get the random meal. So here we write retrofit instance dot API dot then get random meal. Now this get random meal will return a call, and a call you can enqueue it, and here you give it a callback object. And make sure you use retrofit callback. Sometimes you will find it in the down, and sometimes you find it on the top. I don't know guys, but make sure that you are using retrofit callback. Now pass a meal list in the generics. Now open curly brackets and click Ctrl-I, and now you need to override these two methods. So select them and click on OK. Now the first method is on response, means that retrofit is connected to your API, and the second method is on failure, means the connection was unsuccessfully. In on response method, we are going to get the information of the random meal and show it in the image view. So first I'm gonna check that if the response has any data. If response.body does not equals null, then I know that we actually have a random meal. But else I want to return. Now create a random meal value like that. It's going to be a meal, and let me import it, and it's gonna equal the response.body. Now the response body will return a meal list, and the meal list has meals, and the meals is a list of meal, and we know that we only have one meal, so it's going to be at index 0. So go back here and meals, and our random meal is going to be in index 0 because it's only one meal, so it's definitely gonna be in index 0. Now add two exclamation marks for non-null. Now I want to test that we actually got the information. Now I'm gonna log the random meal ID and the random meal name to check that we actually did it right. So log.d. Now I'm gonna name it like test so I can search about it, and I'm gonna have meal ID is going to be the random meal dot ID meal, and I want to show the name of the meal. Name, this is going to random meal dot str meal. Now in failure, I want to log the error message. Log.d. Now home fragment and t.message.toString. This will tell you why the connection was failed. Now let's run our app. Okay guys, when I run the app, I got this error, and this error happened because we moved the fragments from the previous package and we put them in a new package. So to solve this, go to your navigraph, and now as you can see, it shows an error for this. Now we need to change the packages, so delete the red word and now click on Ctrl and space. The first fragment is going to be for the home. The second fragment is for favorite. Press on Ctrl or space, or you can write it manually like that. Fragments. You just need to write the package name and the name of the fragment. So this is going to be the favorite fragment, and now fragments. And this one is categories fragment. Now let's run our app again. Okay, let's go to our logic and search about test. And yes, as you can see, now it shows us the meal ID and the name of that meal. But now if we go here, for example, to favorites and get back to home, we're supposed to see another information from this information. So let's see. And yes, as you can see, we have now another meal ID and another meal name. Let's test it again. As you can see, every time we click on home, we will get a random meal. And that's exactly what we want. Now what we need to do is showing the image of this meal in this image view. Before that, let's enable view binding. Go to your build Gradle, and here you're going to enable view binding. Like that. And now you write view binding equals to true. View binding is very simple. Instead of writing find view by ID for every view you have in your design, view binding will write that instead of view. Now go back to the home fragment, and on the top of your class, we want to have an instance of our view binding. So here you write private latinate variable, and binding is going to be fragment home binding. Now this class is auto-generated by view binding. Now in our onCreate method, we wanna initialize the binding variable that we created. So here binding will equals fragment home binding dot inflate, and here you will give it this inflator, and you will give it the view group container, and the last parameters set it to false. And now you will return the binding.root. Now go to onView created, and here remove this log, and now we're gonna use glide to catch the image from the internet and put it in the image view. So it's easy. Here you write glide dot with now the view is going to be this at home fragment, and now dot load, and in here you will give it the URL of the image. The URL of the image is in this random meal, so random meal dot str meal thumb. Now dot into, now in here you will pass the image view. The image view is binding dot image random meal. And that's all. Now let's preview our app. As you can see, the picture shows, but it doesn't take the whole image view. Go back to your fragment home. And here we got this because we changed the package, so change the package name again. And now we click on the image view, add scale type, center crop. Now let's preview our app again. As you can see, now every time I click on home, it will get another random meal. Now that was everything about this video, And in the next video, I will take this code from here and I will put it in a view model, and I will show you how to work with a view model in the next video. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video.